What's happening, everyone? I hope we're all well, and welcome to a long-awaited return to my channel. I promise more content, and that is exactly what you're going to get. We're going to kick off my first video back with my top 10 greatest war films of all time list. The war genre is something that holds a massive importance and is something that I enjoy, and I'm sure many of you enjoy a lot. So let's go through my top 10 list from 10 to 1. At number 10, we have the 1942 anti-war satire, probably the best anti-war satire I've ever seen in To Be or Not to Be. Not only does it combine the perfect balance of showcasing the gravity of the situation, its hilarious tones, but the comedy stands today. It is laugh out loud funny and is a film of such great importance. I would applaud you all to watch. A fantastic watch from start to finish. A pretty short watch. It's comedic, it's sad, it's haunting, but most of all, it works in just exactly the way that it wants to, is to provoke thought, make you feel, and show the gravity of the situation at hand. And especially when this came out during the middle of the Second World War, it makes it even more impressive. In at 9th place, we've got Roman Polanski's The Pianist, which of course features Adrian Brody's Oscar-winning and incredible performance. One of the most hard-hitting accounts shown in film of the way Jewish people were treated during World War II, but also showcases the love that this man had for the arts, his love for music, and it showcases a visceral and haunting goal to survive in the world he was currently living in. It's powerful, it's upsetting, its imagery is visceral, the direction is beautiful, and again, definitely a must-watch. In 8th place, we have the first film on this list from my favourite director, Mr. Stanley Kubrick, and that is Full Metal Jacket. It's comedic, it's sad, it's disturbing, it's a look at the US's approach to post-World War II warfare in general. It's a look at a man's descent into mental illness. It's a look at the soldiers and kind of what they have to face mentally as well as physically post-war, during that Vietnam era. I also think I am not in the camp that thinks the second half is so much stronger than the first. I actually think they're both equal and they both serve their purpose to the story, and they are brimming with social commentary, beautiful imagery, and weirdly bizarre satirical performance, especially from Vincent in the first half as well, who I believe gained around 74 pounds for the role. An incredible film, a film that showcases just how the post-World War II era, what happened with the warfare with America and with the US, and a film that will stay on your mind and lingered on mine for a long time, and one that I have watched over and over again purely for how powerful the final sequence is as well. You've got the Japanese animated film Grave of the Fireflies, easily one of the most emotionally taxing films I've ever seen, and I'm sure anybody out there that has seen it will say exactly the same. It showcases two kids essentially looking to survive during and the impact of war on the home front country as well, which is a topic we rarely see covered in the war genre when it comes to cinema. It's so haunting but yet so beautiful with its imagery, and showcases that even just optimism is often a luxury that a lot of people don't really realize. Some of the sequences are so distressing, which I won't go over on here, but I think it's such an important watch to showcase another angle, to showcase something not from the Western world, and how it affected people of all ages around Japan in that time. In its 6th place, we have, I guess, quite a controversial one now, or at least what I see on social media, with Sam Mendes' 1917, one that had more of an impact on me than most people, I would argue. And whilst I don't think it's the most realistic depiction of war, there are some historical inaccuracies within the narrative itself. It just had this profound impact, and it's something I've watched multiple times, not only because of the fact it is a technical marvel, it on a technical level, the music and the cinematography is jaw-dropping and had me in awe, and still has me in awe every time I watch it to this day. But I just think it's a tight-knit, emotional script on heroism during the war, and remembrance, and remembering these people that need to be remembered, and friendship. And I just think it still manages to expand on the brutality of war in its own little way. And whilst, as I said, it's not perhaps the most realistic depiction. I think it serves its purpose in the genre and is one of the most beautiful war films I've ever seen and still makes me cry every single time. We are now into the top 5, and at 5th place we have, in my opinion, Steven Spielberg's true masterpiece, definitely his best work, and that is of course Schindler's List. Such an important story to tell, a film that had so much research and backing behind it, telling the story of Oscar Schindler and telling what one person's difference made in the presence of so many people, so many evil minds and evil people. It's so harrowing, and it doesn't pull any punches when showcasing the important, brutal imagery of what actually happened during that time. And I also think on a film level, technically, it's fantastic. Arguably, some of the greatest cinematography and most powerful shots, particularly in the Little Girl with a Dress, as we all know, potentially ever. And I think it's a brilliant film that uses the 3+ hour runtime so effectively in telling this piece of history that needed to be told. And like I said before, is definitely, in my eyes, Spielberg's best work, and that is by a long margin as well. In at 4th place, we have one of my newest watches to make it into this top 10, and 1977's The Ascent, a Soviet war film, which I had me feeling like I've never felt before, in the fact I felt like an innocent bystander watching the existential impacts, the existential reflections of war and the demise of humans and human nature. And I think the premise in this is so simple but so effective. Watching the two soldiers go off and do daily things and daily tasks and see how that impacted them during the time. And I think it took such an emotional hold on me during its few hours, and again, like many on this list, is so beautiful when it comes to showcasing the kind of cold, expansive, rural locations that they lived in, and not many films have given me a feeling of this one, such as a horrific sense of despair and evil. And it's definitely a underappreciated film in the war genre, one that I think everyone should watch at least once in their life. Into the top 3, and at 3rd place, we've got another film by my favourite director, Mr. Stanley Kubrick, and that is, of course, Paths of Glory, one of the greatest not only war and anti-war projects I've ever seen, but one of the greatest courtroom dramas, a film that speaks out on the pointlessness of war, which can be a sticky subject for many, but I think with Kubrick's satirical approach and powerful approach, with Kirk Douglas delivering an incredible performance, it works tenfold. I think the characters are so well versed, and we see the hierarchy of the armies around that period and what that kind of meant to be one, and the power that would come with. And I think it just really speaks about the emptiness and the emptiness of those people, and the decisions they make and what that can lead to for people lower down the line, and the pointlessness of them. An incredible film, and it's really the main thing to mention is Kubrick was only 27 when he made this, which is just incredible in its own right. And it's short, it's effective, it's simple, but it's enthralling, beautiful, and almost comedic at points as well, and one that, again, everyone should watch at least once. In that 2nd place, we've got a film that I believe to have really risen in popularity over the past year or so due to social media, and that is, of course, the Soviet anti-war film from 1985, Come and See, a documentation of the sheer brutality of war. I'm not sure that there has been a more realistic depiction of actually what went on, and showcasing a part of history which is, I guess, lesser spoken about among the Western audience and the Western world. And I think it's so horrific of its use of close-up shots, of its use of compositions to really make you feel, again, like I said with The Ascent, an innocent bystander, someone who is watching the horrors, the circumstances that these people face themselves in because of war, because of the what was happening during that period in that timeline. I think it's a desperation to relay that anti-war message and push it onto you by not pulling any punches and just giving you everything, showcasing the brutality, showcasing everything they can to really install that message. And I think it's so powerful for that, and it really works on not only a technical level but a narrative front as well. And again, I'm going to say this for all of them, a must watch, but this one maybe more than the others, because you might have heard of this one less, which arguably makes it just as important, if not more, down the line to bring more people to watch, come and see, because it is that important. And into the coveted number one spot as my greatest war film of all time, it has to go to Apocalypse Now. For reference, I actually think the final cut is the best cut. I know a lot of people tend to ask that, but it's cemented its place as one of the greatest and most important war films of all time, with the way it portrays war's damaging psychological effects, as it showcases the character's descent into, metaphorically, literally, the darkness, into the fog, showcasing its way into the approach with, obviously, Marlon Brando's character. And I think it really indulges and showcases the brutality and the foggiest parts of human nature and the psychological aspects of that, which is not something we got around that time as much as the post-war. And I think it's powerful performances, it's thought-provoking, it's heavily impactful, and one that again lingers on you for a long time. I think it has such a lasting impact and instantly went down as a classic then, especially given the fact that the production was an absolute mess. If you haven't seen the Heart of Darkness documentary, I definitely recommend giving it a watch, because Francis Ford Coppola somehow managed to pull through with issues with locals, with issues with budgets, with issues with weather, whatever it might be. And he did that and created, in my opinion, the greatest war film of all time.